Yeats is represented by 6 works in our sale on the 26th of November this winter. The latest oil in the auction dates to 1952 and is entitled The Comforter, this piece here on the far right. The painting shows 2 people in an intimate conversation. Both figures are very well described. The artist has used thick impasto and has carved out the figures out of the paint, but has binded them together with his use of the impasto and how he's described the shape of their faces and their interaction. The female figure on the left-hand side wears a dark black hat, and she stares into the distance, clearly numb with grief. The male figure wears earthier tones and leans in towards her and is a source of ease for the lady. Both of the figures are lit by the sky that you see in the top left quadrant of the painting, and there's an overall sense of peace or condolence between the pair. Both figures are set against what appears to be a stone wall, looking out against a landscape lit in the top left-hand corner. Their faces are warmed by the light of the sky, and there's an overall sense of ease created by both the characters and the palette the artist has used. The title, The Comforter, perhaps has another meaning for the artist, a theological suggestion perhaps. It being painted in 1952, the artist passed away in 1957, so this is very much part of the latter stage of the artist's career, where these types of themes and subjects were at the forefront of his inspiration. Against the Stream dates to 1943 and is a slightly earlier work than The Comforter. The painting shows the artist tackle another major theme in his work, that of rivers and ferrymen. Here we see the figure of the man on the shore, on the bank of the river, and he's pulling a little barge against the stream towards the viewer. It's hard to tell whether the barge is a toy or some fantastical element that the artist has placed in the painting for the viewer to interpret. The overall construction of the painting shows the use of thick impasto as well as the palette knife, and the light reflecting on the water can be seen here in the carved out flickers of light that hit the water here, very much showing the construction process of the painting. Yeats would have carved back these little grooves to expose the white of the board to create this effect. The ferryman and rivers are a recurring theme in the artist's body of work, and I suppose on a deeper level pitch the individual against the elements, or showing the individual as this fragile figure against life. The ferryman would be celebrated for his innate wisdom and his knowledge of the tides and the sea, and this wisdom and control, I suppose, can be seen in how the artist navigates this figure and the little barge against the elements upstream towards the viewer. The other examples by Yeats in this sale include a watercolour from the early 1900s called The Little Book. It was shown in Dublin in 1906 as part of the artist's sketches of life in the west of Ireland. It was also shown in the Oireachtas exhibition that year in 1906. Other examples include first edition 1912 book illustrated by Yeats of life in the west of Ireland, and a cartoon illustration of a ballad to the 7 gypsies called The Dark-Eyed Gypsy, dating to the 1900s as well. So plenty to offer our bidders in our sale on the 26th of November. Thank you.